It's Monday morning in Simpsonville, South Carolina. We're getting ready to head back up to the mountain, and we had wonderful services at Temple Baptist this past Sunday, Sunday morning and Sunday night, and thankful for that church and for its ministry. Uh, we're in Mark chapter 14, beginning at verse 53, and I want to deal with the subject of giving testimony or making statements and making a witness. This morning I went out to turn on the sprinklers, the drip system on our plants around the condo, and looked at the yard pretty thoroughly and looked at the plants pretty thoroughly. Went into the house for just a couple of minutes, came back out, and I saw these black piles of what appeared to be dog dew on the common area. That is not the area that we own, but the area between the different condominium units. But close by our unit, and down the street, just half a block, was a lady, a gray-haired lady, walking a little white dog, and she was kind of looking back. And of course, our condo has the same rules as most communities, that if you have a dog and you walk it and they make a mess, you're supposed to take a plastic bag and pick it up and carry it with you and dispose of it properly. And so it looked on every appearance to be that this lady had walked by our place. The dog had done some dew on the grass, and she had left it and not picked it up. And so I reported to Lois that one of the ladies in our complex had allowed her dog to go on the grass close to our driveway and hadn't picked it up. And I went on about my business, and a little bit later, I decided I would take care of it myself, so I went out with a plastic bag, and as I bent down to pick up what I thought was dog dew with the plastic bag, found out that it was chunks of rubber that had come off either a car or a truck, or somehow had gotten up there on the lawn between the first time I went out and the second time I went out, and it wasn't dog dew at all. That lady was totally innocent. The dog was totally innocent, but I had made a false accusation. We find a false accusation in the story of Jesus' trial. Remember, he's been in the garden. He's been taken by both Roman soldiers and the guard from the religious leaders of the day, and they've brought him to what would be a kangaroo court, if you would, because the leaders wanted him to die. They were seeking testimony, not to defend him, but seeking testimony in order to convict him and to accuse him of something that was worthy of death. And it clearly says in the text that they weren't able to find any. Many were giving false witness, and some of those giving false witness may have not been doing it maliciously, even though the priests and the scribes wanted testimony that would be a malicious conviction. And one of those statements that was made was that Jesus said he would destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days. That's not really what Jesus said. But that's what they reported, and obviously it is a false testimony. And that's what brought me back to the story that happened before I made this devotion about the lady and the dog and the black stuff on the grass. It's easy to give false testimony. Things aren't always as they appear. As a matter of fact, on the internet recently there was a picture of a policeman shooting a man who was seemingly being compliant with putting down an assault rifle with one hand. And what you didn't see was that with the other hand, he was reaching around behind him for a handgun, which he was fully intending to shoot the officer with, as the officer would be off guard, thinking he was putting down his weapons. And another policeman behind the assailant saw him pulling the handgun, said gun, and they shot the man. You see, I watched the video 3 times just as they recommended, and each time I neglected to be able to see him reaching for the handgun. Yet as they showed the video over and over again, when the victim was lying on the ground, it was clear that he had the pistol in his hand, and not by the barrel as if to put it down, and nor did he say anything about, I have another gun, let me put that down too, but clearly in his grip with full intention of using that. We've got to be careful about our witness and our testimony. we must be careful not to repeat rumors. We must be careful not to exaggerate or leave out important details. We must be careful that not everything that appears to be wrong is wrong. And we need to be very, very careful that our witness is a godly witness, filled with truth and sincerity. I'm so glad that I didn't repeat what I said to Lois to anyone else, and that I came back in and said, Lois, I falsely accused that lady. I never made an accusation to her personally, but to Lois I made the accusation that she had done it. And I had to confess that my witness wasn't true. So even when you find yourself in a situation where you bear false witness, be careful. Be careful that you don't give false witness. And if you do, even when it's not intentional, be sure to make it right as quickly as you can, so that somebody else's reputation, somebody else's personality is not slandered. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a good day.